Today, I need to talk to you about Councillor Owen Hanley. I am a victim of sexual abuse, catfishing, and underage grooming. Owen Hanley did this to me. Mr. Hanley operated a fake Twitter account under the name Irish Jock with the Twitter handle @leftmuscle. He posed as a teenager and reached out to me on Twitter, knowing who I was from our previous engagements in the Social Democrats. He coaxed me into sending explicit images of myself over a long period of time, starting just after I turned 16 to February of 2022. Upon confrontation and presentation with the evidence, Mr. Hanley denied the allegations. However, immediately afterwards, all traces of the accounts that he operated were gone.
Ooh, 2023 off to a bad start for the left, lads. This is not good. It's not going to continue to be a good thing for these people, and it's certainly not going to continue to be a good year for the left, and it's not going to be a very good few years for them, because people are starting to wake up all around the country. They're starting to understand that the narratives that they've been told over the last few years have been complete lies, and they're starting to ask questions. Not only that, but there are grassroots organisations starting, and there are people that have totally and utterly just looked at politicians and have looked the other way and have decided to do their own thing. Awesome stuff. Getting into this video, and before I start it, I want to say this. I believe in being innocent until being proven guilty. There's an awful lot of trials by social media, and they never end up well. They certainly haven't given us an awful lot of the truth over the last few years, and I firmly do believe that these things should be settled in a court of law, which is why that is one of my biggest questions surrounding this. Why is this on social media as opposed to being a formal complaint that Gardaí are investigating and moving its way towards the courts? That's a very big question that I have, and I'm sure you will too. This is also a country, unfortunately, that gives suspended sentences to certain people. You'll know who I'm talking about. The media regularly report about them, and maybe that's why this has been posted on social media. Maybe a lack of faith in the justice system here in Ireland. Again, this is speculation. I don't know, because I don't know this guy. So the choice to put it on social media and the internet as a whole to circumvent the system has been something that's been very interesting over the last couple of years. And I think there's an awful lot of ways you could look at this. There are so many different ways you could look at this. Is it good that it's on social media? Well, it circumvented an awful lot, and at the time, this guy wanted to remain anonymous when he spoke to a media outlet and didn't name the person. The person wasn't named. Yet now, all of a sudden, the beginning of this year, this video is posted. Seems very odd to me. It seems very odd timing, and it also seems very odd to me when you look into the video and you listen to what this fella says. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you've seen this poster here before, particularly this one, and this is the Agenda 2030 poster. This is from the UN. So that's a very big question mark that I have surrounding this video, which is it's taken obviously by himself, and this is being given a prominent display in the video. That's where I would have a massive question mark, to be quite honest with you. I'd also say that he talks about reading from a script. Again, that's another very serious question mark that I would have, and doesn't show much emotion. Now, he might not be an emotional guy. These are all things that I just taught myself. What you also have to look at when it comes to this, and why I put up a picture of Owen Hanley and Enoch Burke as the thumbnail, is look at the way the media picked up that story and ran with it and vilified that man for a number of months, and are continuing to do so, painting him as some sort of maniac, as some sort of villain, when he's just a fella that wants to go to work, that doesn't want to dabble in the nonsensical world of another person that thinks they're something that they are not. Yet no media outlet seems to have covered this story whatsoever, and the name of this fella isn't on everyone's lips. It's very odd, isn't it? It's very strange. And that's what I talk about here in this post, about so many people and organizations potentially implicated by this story. This is huge. Where have you ever heard this before, that this sort of behaviour happened and they just are not saying anything about it, but they'll keep talking to you about Enoch Burke? Very weird, isn't it? Look at the speed of with which the Gardaí were able to arrest Enoch Burke and how quickly he was committed to prison. Now, I know that you're using apples and oranges there, considering they are a very different two cases, and I'm sure there'll be people that won't have the ability to last this long into the video before they're into the comments going, they're not the same. Listen, you need to have a bit of intellect here. I understand that they are not exactly the same case. However, how come when this accusation has been made, how come the Gardaí haven't immediately picked up and detained Councillor Owen Hanley? Why has that not happened? I will also say, how come the Gardaí were very interested, and along with the judiciary, how come they were interested in the whole non-mask wearing stuff for the last couple of years? Why were they interested in putting people into prison potentially, and also then very happy to dole out fines? What's the story with that? How come there hasn't been any sort of move made in relation to this guy? Very odd. So I also think it's very strange that he's decided to go with the social media route rather than, and I mean, it's possible that this has happened because it was in the article from extra.ie that the party themselves had notified the relevant authorities. So now that could mean anything, it could, really, to be quite honest. But how come the Gardaí and Tusla haven't got anywhere with the investigation? Because this has happened months ago and there's been no movement. So as I said here in this post, I said so many people and organisations potentially implicated by this. The reputation of the Social Democrats in Ireland is in complete tatters here, as the accused continued in the party long after the allegations were made. The party just removed the party whip. The very same people that rapidly posted about Enoch Burke are totally silent about this. The regime are attempting to ignore this story as much as possible. And as I said, part of a serious awakening. And the awakening is going to become further when you see stories like the ones that are surrounding Enoch Burke and the story that you've just seen. Because these things, to me, whilst comparing apples and oranges, it still shows you what these people that are running this country are interested in and what they are not interested in. Look at what's happening here. This comes from the 10th of January 2023. The Board of Management of the school where Enoch Burke works wants an order allowing it to take temporary possession of his assets after he resumed breaching a High Court order. All this fella did was turn up back to work. That's all he did. But they're talking about taking his assets. Have the assets of Councillor Owen Hanley been taken? Has he been arrested? No, he hasn't. Not at this moment in time. But this is what they're doing to a fella who ultimately won't call a boy a day and won't call the boy by another name. Now, of course, again, maybe if some other people have lasted this long to say it's not the same. Listen, you were happy to ignore the Geneva Convention and you are happy to ignore the Nuremberg Code for the last couple of years. You may sit this one out onto the bench with you there. So how is it that they feel it's applicable to this man to have his assets seized, but all that's happening with Owen Hanley is he's not in the party anymore, guys? It's a whole 5 months after the party knew about this. It's not like they just found out, by the way. They knew. Respectively, allegedly. so this is what you have here. This comes from the Soc Dems. Owen Hanley has resigned from Galway City Council after certain allegations were made on social media in recent days. Certain allegations? You don't want to talk about what those certain allegations were, no? Oh, alright, okay. You just wanted to leave it a little bit more, I suppose, aloof for people out there going, oh, I wonder what that means. Of course, no media articles seem to be out about this whatsoever at this moment in time. The party believes it is appropriate that Mr. Hanley has resigned and these allegations are thoroughly investigated. It's coming up to nearly a year now, is it not? It's coming out to at least 5 months anyway, for sure, that these investigations are supposed to be ongoing and that these people knew. So why is it so slow? Why is there no urgency? You know what I mean? Are other children in danger? Are other children involved? Have other, at the time, children been involved in this? You know what I mean? When the party first learned of allegations, the whip was removed from Mr. Hanley and he has now resigned his membership of the Social Democrats. Well, that doesn't seem to add up as a timeline at all. It seems like, from the wording of that also, it seems like that you're saying that the party whip was removed, which it was nearly a year ago, but he continued on in the party only till a couple of days ago. Just so that's clear. And he was on the website up until a couple of days ago, by the way. Now you have the likes of Gary Gannon out there that's talking about how vital it is for people to be standing up for their own communities that have been inundated with people that they don't know anything about into their communities. He's saying that's vital. And it doesn't seem like he's made any sort of comments surrounding this whatsoever. Now, as I said, the same people that were rabid and have been rabid about Enoch Burke and people that are nationalists about this country and are very much so interested in seeing a future for this great country, same people that are rabid about those folks seem to show no interest in this story whatsoever. Weird, isn't it? The party notified the relevant statutory authorities charged with investigating these allegations as soon as became aware of them. So what are the Gardaí and Tusla doing then? What are they doing? Are they doing anything? Any sort of statement being made by them? No, doesn't seem like it. The party takes allegations of this nature extremely seriously and has at all times strictly adhered to our statutory obligations. Ends January 4th, 2023. So, as I said at the beginning of this video, some very serious allegations have been made. Some very important people, when I say important people, by the way, people that like to grant themselves titles, I mean, they're the same as you and me, so don't be worrying about titles, that have been very seriously, allegedly, speculatively implicated, potentially implicated by this whole thing. And at the same time, you're seeing the media run with stories of an absolutely outrageous nature that the assets of Enoch Burke are looking to be seized. Let you know about everything that you need to know about this country, doesn't it? It's absolutely outrageous. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell up above for future uploads, and check out the links posted in the description down below to our channel. And talk to you later. Good luck.